Good morning, this is Steve Stierwalt, working on a podcast here about local plans. For those of you who were at summer conference and the ones who weren't at summer conference, Betty Buckhart asked me a question in one of our sessions, and we were on a little different topic at that time, so I promised Betty I would answer her question later on, and of course I forgot. And so I apologize, Betty, and I'm going to try to paraphrase your question, and hopefully I have it pretty close. Since each district is a unit of local government and sets their own direction, why does the strategic plan call for each district to update their local plan of work? I really wanted to answer that question, and I forgot, as I say, and so this gives me another chance. So the short answer to your question, Betty, is that I feel that if districts are willing to share their local plans with us, that'll give us a lot of more information and will help us as we go to try to secure funds to get more work done, to help you get your plan done. The message that we could send by every district having a plan of work that is relevant and up to date, shall we say, would be very will be immensely powerful as we go to raise funds. Okay, as many of you are aware, in the new budget that was passed, conservation districts were mentioned 3 different times in that state funding. One of the funds that we're supposed to be getting money out of is called Partners for Conservation. And out of that fund, we were supposed to get $3.5 million for cost share, $4 million for operations. And then there's another line item that was $6 million, and that's supposed to come out of the general revenue fund. As we all know, getting money in the budget is one thing, but actually getting that money released is another. And so that is why I was wanting to talk to you about this as it relates to your local plan of work. And so the state funding, again, is significant if we can get that $13.5 million. So this doesn't relate to the topic, but while we're talking about that funding, I've got a little note down here to remember to thank your legislators. Kelly sent out some information I think Monday of this week with which legislators actually voted for this budget. And so it would be very important that if one of your legislators voted for the budget that we're in, to please try and thank him or her for their support. Okay, again, talking about the budget and the money that was appropriated from that budget for districts. We asked for and received a meeting with the Department of Ag right before summer conference. And there were representatives of the state association and employees were there in that meeting. And we wanted to be able to give a little more clear direction, or at least what we knew at that time, at least, as far as how much funding districts could expect. And so in the meeting with IDOA, they reported that the governor's office was willing to release $5 million at this time for the grant agreements with the districts. And at that meeting on that Friday, it was discussed that money would be coming out similarly to what we got last year. the way the distribution would be. There's a few tweaks that they're proposing, but they didn't have everything done at that point. But that gives you at least an idea what to expect at this point. But at summer conference, obviously that was a big topic of conversation, and the delegates made it very clear that they want the state association to try to get more of those funds released. And so with that direction from the delegates, one of the ideas that we are working with is these local plans that we're talking about in this podcast. As we're each of us talking to our legislators, or we talk to leadership legislators, if we had local plans from every district that show what it is you want to do, how you want to do it, and what it's going to cost, it will make a big difference. Though instead of just talking to our legislators about saying we need more money because we're going to do good things with it, it would change things immensely if we can actually be able to talk to them about what would happen in their particular legislative district. So the local plans would be very important. As I mentioned in the last slide, the power of having a local plans that we could work with legislators, I think would be one of our best opportunities to get more money released from the budget. So what do we need? What would help us, I would say, as we try to get more money, out of this budget? What components do we need? And so some of the things that we talked about was what are your asking directors to come up with their, just like they do on their plan anyway. What are your local resource concerns? What is it you want to work on in your area? What's the process? What do you intend to do to take care of those resource concerns? How would you measure your success? And what resources would you need to be able to get this done? And so when we're talking about a plan like this, I would hope you would be thinking about not just what you can accomplish today. You may just have, some districts only have half a staff person. Some districts have no staff person, and other districts have, maybe two staff people. So everybody's coming from a different spot. But if you identify what it is you think is the problem in your area, and how you want to address it, be thinking of, with appropriate resources, what you could do. So you may need in your plan to hire a resource, an RC. So be thinking about that. What it is you need to accomplish that plan, and what it's going to cost. So as we accumulate these local plans, what would we do? If you're willing to share your local plan with us, how would we use it? The idea is, instead of, as I say before, just talking to legislators in general, we'd be able to take these local plans and group them by legislative boundaries. And then in those legislative boundaries, we could communicate to those legislators their specific resource concerns. Not what it is across the whole state, but what is important to the people in their legislative district. Then we'd be able to say, here we can show them from your local plan how the soil and water conservation districts plan to address those concerns, and what the impact would be to their constituents. And then obviously what it's going to cost for us to provide that service. But with the little time that I've been in this job, I've really noticed how legislators respond to local. And the more local that we can make the pitch, if you want to say, what we're wanting legislators to do by showing them specifically what their local resource concerns and how we're going to help their constituents. I think it could be a real game changer in getting this money released. Another use that we would have for these local plans would be our active foundation, shall we call it. In the strategic plan, we talked about changing the state association's passive foundation, one that's just waiting for money that someone might want to contribute, to an active foundation that is out there actually trying to find funds to help local districts get their work done. So for us, it would be a great benefit as we develop this foundation and we have someone out actually looking for this money to know what the local plans are. What is it again, just like we said before, what are the resource concerns? And there's what I've noticed, what I've been surprised at as we've gone through the strategic planning process is how much money there is actually out there looking for a plan. And so with a good plan, there's a good chance that we can help find money to get your plan implemented. Another advantage to all of us as districts doing our local plan is direction for NRCS. People who had a chance to go to summer conference heard Ivan Dozier talk about the way it's supposed to work. One of the jobs that we are supposed to be doing as directors is to set direction for NRCS in our district. NRCS originally was added, you might say, to the mix as a way of helping get the local resource concerns done. So it's still that way. And so Ivan pointed out to us at our summer conference that this is one of the roles that he needs districts to play, to set those local resource concerns, because that helps them actually then find more money to help get your plan done. So it's our job. And again, it's a way of finding more money to accomplish our plan. So as we all know, harvest is coming. And we just have August and maybe a little of September. And we as directors become very distracted by a little thing called harvest. So the timing on getting local plans done, is very short. If we're going to be able to use these local plans to be able to impact legislators, they really need to be done here before harvest, so that we can go after those funds. And so I know no one needs another job. No one necessarily likes planning. But I do think that there is a real tangible economic benefit possible for we as districts if we can get our plans done. Everything starts with your local plan. I don't know if I really understood this until we really went through the strategic planning process. But what became so clear to me, and some of you I'm sure already know it or knew it long before I don't know. The only work that gets done is obviously the districts. The districts is what it's all about. The state association's only job is to help districts get their work done. And so this plan that we're talking about, is if you're willing to share it with the state association, and we'd like to work with the Department of Ag so that whatever plan that you develop, hopefully meets our needs to influence legislators and to work with the foundation and NRCS, but also we would like to work with IDOA so that those plans meet the needs of IDOA. So the idea is that you don't have to duplicate, but once you get a plan done, it'll meet more purposes. I know this podcast is bringing up a lot of questions. When I talked about the foundation and anytime you talk about money, there's a lot of questions. How are these things going to be decided? Who's going to make the decision? Those are questions that I can't answer at this point. Those are still being developed. We just came out of summer conference, and the delegates gave us direction to get some of these things done, and we're starting on it. But right now, I can't answer those questions. The reason we're bringing it up right now is that it's so important that these local plans be done before harvest. That time is going to get here very quickly. So if you can develop the plans, we will be continuing to be able to answer questions hopefully in the future. If you get your plan done, can I guarantee you the money? Absolutely not. There's no guarantees that we'll get more money out of the state. Our foundation, our active foundation is not, is just a direction. We were given direction by the delegates to do it, but obviously it's not ready yet. And so to tell you I can guarantee the money, I just can't, there's no way I can do that. But I can guarantee you that it will put us in a much stronger position to go after money from the legislature and to go after money from foundations in the future. Everything starts with your local plan. Those of you who had a chance to go to summer conference heard presentations from 3 different districts who are doing work for the nutrient loss reduction strategy. And one of the common threads there was, and they all said it. We have our local plan, and they had developed their local plan. One district in particular commented that they had developed their plan, and then after they had developed the plan, the money followed. Once they had a plan, the money followed. So this is a process that really can work. If you if you're willing to put the time into developing a good plan, we will work as hard as we can on this end to help you find the resources to get your plan accomplished. Thank you very much.